high-tech oils. Available from Auto One, Sprint Auto Parts, and all leading independent auto stores.
Since the season kicked off back in March in Sydney, the level of competition in the support classes contesting the Australasian Superbike Championship has reached an all-time high, and this fourth round from Queensland Raceway looks set to continue the trend. In the Kawasaki Ninja Cup, up to half a dozen riders are currently in contention to take out the top prize, and in amongst that half dozen sits a veteran of the sport who is ready to teach the young'uns a thing or two. Formula Oz has been the domain of Paul Burns so far, but the competition behind him has been fierce and is ready to pounce on the transplanted Irishman. And the exotics of motorcycling in Pro Twins and naked bikes will be duelling it out against the competitive field from the Formula Extreme C and D class. It's game on for all the teams and riders here at Queensland Raceway.
It's a beautiful day here at Queensland Raceway. It is round 4 of the Swann Insurance Australasian Superbike Championship in 2015, and today we feature first up the Kawasaki Insurance's FX-300 Ninja Cup. A hotly contested field, a fantastic series throughout 2014. So far in 2015, Phil, it's been fantastic.
It has. We've seen some great variety at the front, not in machine, but also in the riders. Luke Burgess currently leads the championship. There's a bit of news about him this weekend. Jack Dawes, Paul Young also putting in a great performance.
A field of 21 riders now getting themselves set for the first of 7 laps here at Queensland Raceway to determine the victor of round 4 in the Kawasaki Insurance's FX-300 Ninja Cup. Let's have a look at how they'll grid up. Tony Jones ahead of Ben White, Paul Young and Jack Dawes on the front row of the grid.
Yeah, that's Hunter Ford, Jason Martin, Robbie Menzies and Sam Davidson on the second row of the grid, and Robbie Menzies' mentor, Troy Bayliss, here to watch him this weekend.
Well, a good start from almost everybody on the front row of the grid there. One of them getting a little bit of a bump and a jump, but it's all Paul Young as he heads down the Swann Insurance main straight into DID chain, swooping round the outside and taking up the running.
Yeah, Paul Young, he just certainly has the starts nailed on this machine, but look at Tony Jones on the Triple X rated suspension in the middle of a hectic battle as they make their way round through turn 2. I know we've harped on about it every single race at this Queensland Raceway, Lance, but turn 2 is the most important track by a long shot on these Ninja 300s. It's all about the run down this back straight and the slipstream.
Well, here's Ryan Masri on board the Aitken's bike and power machine, but I'm absolutely stunned at the way that Paul Young, round the outside, almost touching everything on the bike in front of him there was young Ryan Masri. What I was getting at is Paul Young, the lead that he's got so early in this race.
Yeah, he's the master of riding this Ninja 300. He knows how to get it off the line. He knows how to get it around the corners. On board again with Ryan Masri. I tell you what, they keep this sort of action up in the Ninja 300s. Oh, there goes Hunter Ford up the inside. The man that really made an impact at Sydney Motorsport Park at the last round is on track to do the same here at Queensland Raceway as he makes his way round through the final of those left-handed corners on the infield of the circuit and down the Iphone straight. He's moved his way up now and sits in about, 7th position behind the S machine of Sam Davidson, the Kiwi.
You're doing a great job there. Ben White in second place on the 308, the Keelan Kawasaki, but it's all about Paul Young. He's got an unheard of lead. In a controlled formula like this, you just don't get leads like that early on.
Well, that's what age and experience will do for you. Paul Young, he may be the oldest rider in this pack, but I'll tell you what, he is certainly one of the fastest riders in any class of racing here. On board now with Robbie Menzies on the Cube Racing machine, immaculately prepared bikes once again from Ben Henry's Cube Racing team. But look at the action. It is absolutely ferocious back there in the pack.
Through turn 2, now into turn 3, the run down Dunlop straight, getting a run up the inside there of Jack Dawes. One of the riders, Ryan Masri, on the Aitken's bike and power machine, getting a little bit out slipstream down Dunlop this time around. He's got it all to do again, but under brakes, he's a bit of a demon.
He went flying past Mitch Caveney on the brakes like Mitch had gone into reverse as they made their way down in towards turn 3. And as they come out now, look at Sam Davidson get down behind the screen of the LTR Kawasaki as they make their way up the Kawasaki straight now. Here comes Robbie Menzies. He's looking for a way up the inside. Is he? Can't quite get there. Hunter Ford. Where did he come from?
Well, he comes from the Hunter region up in Newcastle. Hunter Ford doing a fantastic job, but he certainly knows how to use the brakes on these Ninja 300s with no little inexperience, I guess you could say. What a fantastic job. But it's all Paul Young out in front. Look at the lead that he's got over Ben White in second place.
Oh, knows that Jack Dawes on 315 just got it very sideways down into Honda Corner, the final corner. But we mentioned before, as they came down the iPhone Straightlands, that Hunter Ford had moved his way up into about 7th. He's now up into about 4th. He's gained a lot of positions on that last lap.
He's doing a great job, so too is this man, Tony Jones, on the fx suspension, or rated suspension Kawasaki. He's just been out-muscled down in turn number 1. No mean feat indeed, a very fast section of the circuit. Gets the drive down to the ground there. We're talking about the rider on board machine number 370, and of course he's doing a great job out there, is Hunter Ford.
And look at this battle now, Ryan Masri sitting up on the ducktail of the 8-pins bike and power machine. Down the back straight, is that Sam Davidson on the LTR Kawasaki? Oh, no diesel in the tank this round, Lance, as he makes his way, once again, makes his way past in the slipstream and then loses out on the brakes.
Yeah, Ryan Masri's very, very strong under brakes here, but he's been balked lap after lap after lap by a rider in front of him. Here we are on board with Robbie Menzies, Cube Racing Kawasaki. A replay of the start there. He did a fantastic job to get up the inside. Here they are, almost bumping shoulders as they go into turn number 1. There's the run around the outside by our current race leader, Paul Young. That's where he made up all his advantage.
Well, look at this battle at the moment. Tony Jones pulling out of the slipstream of Hunter Ford, but watch Hunter Ford. He will come back strong on the brakes as they make their way down into this turn 3 area. A very important area for outbraking. And look at the two different riding styles there. Tony Jones, a much more classic style. Hunter Ford, the new wave. Elbow down, lots of aggression.
Well, there's certainly no lack of intestinal fortitude being shown by Hunter Ford there. Here comes Jones back up the inside at the end of Kawasaki, straight down into bell helmets. The two left-handers here on the 6-corner layout, the 3.12 kilometre layout of the Queensland Raceway, known affectionately as the paperclip.
Well, lots of subclasses in this class as well too, Lance. We've got the under-20s. Hunter Ford is our leading under-20s rider at the moment. Well, he's certainly the leader, not in the under-20s class. Paul Young, the veritable veteran. Also Ben White on 308. But look at this battle between Hunter Ford, who's now up to 3rd, the leading under-20s rider, just ahead of Tony Jones on 312. We've also got the ladies, and Keegan Pickering putting in some great performances for the ladies this weekend, along with Julie Klinker. And of course the FOBs, Mark Rogers has been on fire so far all weekend as we go back on board with Tony Jones. Oh, that was close.
It certainly is. This battle for 3rd and 4th placing has been a thrilling encounter, there's no doubt about it. Battles throughout the entire field here. You can see two riders on board the 365 as Jimmy Broadbent. He's been doing a great job after having some problems with his bike in yesterday's race program and having some bearing problems in the water pump.
Well, and also too, last year he was the tyre changer for the team. This year he thought, I'm not going to miss out on the action. I want to be part of this Kawasaki Ninja 300 Cup. Didn't have the best first round, but he's come back strong, although he's just lost 2 places. That's typical Ninja 300 racing.
Well, here we go again with another good battle royale. Hunter Ford up the inside of Tony Jones again. This is the battle for 3rd and 4th placing. We're on board with Jones on the fx rated suspension Kawasaki. He gets the drive out of Honda up the inside down the Swann Insurance main straight. He gets enough drive there to be able to get in front of Hunter Ford and skip away about 2 or 3 bike lengths through BID chains on the run down into Racetech suspension turn 3.
Yeah, important time to be doing it too. We're on the final tour now of this 7-lap journey for the first of our Kawasaki Insurance Ninja 300 Cup races, and Tony Jones has got a pretty good lead at the moment over Hunter Ford. We've seen how strong Hunter Ford is on the brakes. He may be just a fraction too far back to get advantage of the slipstream. The drive out of turn 2 for Tony Jones on that occasion was absolutely fantastic. In
the meantime, at the front of the pack, you can see Paul Young has, I guess, lost a little bit of momentum as Ben White comes on strong. But look at this battle for the minor placings.
Shane Yoakum, the man from the Australian Capital Territory, putting in a great performance out onto the straight, but he got swamped in the slipstream and he wasn't able to come back on the brakes. Jack Dawes on 315 now leads that group, and that's the battle for 9th, 10th and 11th place, Lance.
Yeah, you don't have to look far. Oh, goodness me, who's that? Was that Davidson?
Someone running out of petrol. Hopefully it's not Sam Davidson. We'll never hear the end of it from the team this weekend.
Hunter Ford up the inside in the final corner on the final lap. Oh, he doesn't get the drive though. Who's going to be the winner? It'll be Paul Young. He's a great victor there ahead of Ben White. Hunter Ford on the drive down the inside. Did he get it? The answer is yes. 3rd place to him. Tony Jones in 4th.
7 1/1000ths of a second between Hunter Ford and Tony Jones. Sam Davidson did finish in 5th place. Ryan Masri in 6th.
Yeah, it was a bit tighter than yesterday though, so that was good. It was nice having some pressure on. The times weren't coming down, or the gap wasn't coming down like I was hoping it would, so I had to up my game a bit, which is, it's what racing is all about. So.
With the competition in the Kawasaki Ninja Cup being extremely close after 3 rounds, picking a clear favourite to win the 2015 contest is proving to be quite difficult. Of those that are currently in contention, 17-year-old Jack Dawes is impressing many after making the transition from dirt track racing at the beginning of the season. He currently sits second heading into Queensland Raceway and is hopeful of a good showing despite a mishap in practice.
Yeah, look, I've had a bit of a rough Friday 2 days ago. I had a bit of a crash in turn one at a high speed with hitting a false neutral. I had a bit of a go at this last year and I've decided to come back and have a go. We've ended up here in Queensland for round 4 of the Australasian Superbike and it's going pretty good, so I'm looking forward to today's races.
The Kawasaki Ninja Cup focuses solely on rider ability and raw talent rather than on sheer horsepower, and Dawes has quickly adapted to this different style of riding in a very short space of time.
Everyone has the same speed, you know, so this track here, for instance, it's all straights. There's 2 left-hand turns, so everyone, you know, who can slipstream where and who's got the best brakes on the bike, but everyone's got the same speed, you know, so it's all comes down to cornering.
Well, a thrilling result in race number 1 saw a great start in race number 2. Here are the highlights from that one, and it's a repeat performance from Paul Young. He bolted away very early on, but the battle was for 2nd, 3rd and 4th placing.
Yeah, teammates in the Kellen Kawasaki team, Ben White on bike number 308, as Paul Young suffered some sort of mechanical problem, put him out of the race, and what happened then was we had a 5-bike battle for the lead, with Tony Jones losing that position at turn 3.
Well, Hunter Ford, Samuel Davidson, Robert Menzies, Ben White, Tony Jones all took an opportunity here to lead the race. It was almost like a peloton in a push bike race.
It was, and Robbie Menzies took the lead for the first time in this year in the championship. Tony Jones took the lead for a moment. Sam Davidson tried to come around the inside. Here goes Hunter Ford. He'll go up the inside now and have his turn at the lead.
As you can see down the internal Kawasaki straight, 3 wide. Hunter Ford being forced a little bit too wide there by Robbie Menzies. And paybacks are a real so-and-so. As you can see, Hunter Ford here, he came through and eventually led the field across the line in the latter stages. He took the victory. Unfortunately for Andrew Brown, he fell foul of the conditions and was run over by Mark Rogers. And that was the way it ended in race number 2, as we saw. Hunter Ford, Samuel Davidson, Robbie Menzies, 1st, 2nd and 3rd respectively. So it's on to race number 3. Hunter Ford will lead them in terms of being in pole position. Sam Davidson, Robbie Menzies and Ben White share the front row of the grid.
Yeah, Paul Young will have to come from the back of the grid after that DNF in race number 1. That's going to be an exciting ride for him as we get onto the start line now. Ready for a start in race number 3. Robbie Menzies has got an unbelievable start on the Cube Racing Machine bike number 377. He could very well lead them down into turn 1 for the first time. No, he's being challenged by his teammate up the inside, but no, it's Menzies on 377 that leads.
And Hunter Ford up there in the 3rd placing. Samuel Davidson up there at the front as well. So too is this man, Tony Jones, on the XXX rated suspension Kawasaki, heading out of turn number 2, which is Racetech suspension for the all-important run down Dunlop Straight.
Paul Young is already in the first half of the pack as they make their way down the long Dunlop back straight for the first time. Tony Jones making a good use of the slipstream there, going past a couple of riders. I think that was Jack Dawes. He just blitzed around the outside. But here comes Paul Young up the inside. That green, black and white flash lance. That is Paul Young, the veteran on bike number 310.
We haven't even completed half of the first lap and Paul Young is already up knocking on the door of a podium finish.
Oh, that is Paul Young. That's what experience does for you as we go on board now with Ryan Masri on the Aitkins bike and power machine. He's unable to use the slipstream, but he's pretty good on the brakes as Ryan Masri comes down. But see, that's typical Ninja 300 racing. You make up some distance and all of a sudden you get bikes going up the inside and there's nowhere to go. You lose a position as well.
You may well get the speed going up to attack them, but if you get momentarily balked and you have to sit that bike up, get off the throttle, hit the brakes, then you certainly lose the momentum. Here comes Paul Young up into 4th place, slotting himself up the inside of Tony Jones at the end of Iphone Straight into Honda for lap number 1.
So as we complete the first lap, Robbie Menzies leads, and we saw him take his first podium in the championship in the previous race, and now he's got a pretty handy lead over the rest of the pack, which is involved in a hectic battle. Sam Davidson just loses out to Hunter Ford. Paul Young is up to 4th place, and he is going to be trying to get through. There he goes, up the inside of Sam Davidson through turn 2. This is an unbelievable ride from the veteran Paul Young.
He's up into 3rd placing now and knocking on the back of Hunter Ford's Kawasaki just in front of him. Here we are with Tony Jones trying to get up the inside of Davidson. Davidson trying to bustle his way across the outside. Hunter Ford, then in front of them we've got the man that we've been talking about, and that is Paul Young. 3 wide, Hunter Ford up the inside. Sam Davidson pushing them all wide out onto the dirty stuff, even a wave of the hand there.
Yeah, Tony James, I don't know whether that was an apology or see you later, I'm out of here. But classic racing from the Ninja 300s as we go. A bit of slow motion action. You can see those little bikes, the little commuter bikes essentially, Lance, going around Queensland Raceway far faster than they really have any right to.
You could see the classic angle of the dangle, so to speak, there as Paul Young used his body weight to his advantage and got maximum traction on that BC Performance SA Kawasaki entry.
Well, look at the two Kellen Kawasaki machines now as Hunter Ford once again loses in the slipstream to his teammate Ben White on bike number 308. Sam Davidson on the LTR Kawasaki up the inside as well. But it is Ben White on 308 that leads them through in that little group at the moment as they go through turn 3 and out onto the Kawasaki straight, wringing the neck of these Kawasaki Ninja 300s.
Hunter Ford on the outside there, momentarily rubbing shoulders. Robbie Menzies, Cube Racing Kawasaki, down the end of Kawasaki straight, into Bell Helmets, a rider pushing his way up the inside there.
Well, that's Paul Young.
Robbie Menzies just being overtaken by Paul Young, who now takes up the running of the race halfway through the second lap.
Well, Robbie Menzies has got a legend veteran mentor in the shape of Troy Bayliss, the three-time Superbike world champion, and also recently crowned Australian Supermoto champion. But he's also got the experience of Paul Young that he can make use of as well. He's a young man that's certainly in a hurry. Hunter Ford. Well, what can you say about this guy? He really made his presence felt at the last round, Lance, and continuing on with great form here, taking victory in that second race.
Yeah, joining a new team as well as we see this battle go down the internal section of the circuit. And a good job there by the 377 of Robbie Menzies on the Cube Racing Kawasaki. He takes up the running at the moment, pushing Paul Young a little bit wide. He's back in second place. Third place is the 308 of Ben White on the Keelan Kawasaki. These three protagonists are key to the championship results at the end of the year, I'm sure.
Yeah, he's not the tallest man, but I tell you what, he's grown about 4 feet this weekend. He's surfing on a wave of confidence at a track that he's done plenty of laps at. He's got his mentor here this weekend to spur him on, and this is the best round for Robbie Menzies so far in the championship. Hopefully he'll be able to continue this form on for the rest of the 2015 season, Lance.
Well, they're three wide almost as they head down the end of the Swann Insurance main straight into DID Chains corner. Paul Young trying to get the drive up the inside. He's successful in doing that. He gets the drive out of turn number 3, and that is, of course, Race Tech suspension. He goes a little bit wide. It gives the opportunity for Menzies there to drive down the inside. The experience of Young. He tacks to the inside of the circuit. Here comes Hunter Ford under pressure now from Sam Davidson as the front three go down into the braking area at the end of Dunlop.
Well, as they come round through turn 3 now, I love it when they use the clear visor and you can see the steely gaze of Paul Young out from underneath that Bell helmet, as you can see the determination, the look on his face as he battles with these two youngsters, Robbie Menzies and also Ben White on bike number 308.
He's got the upper hand, though, at the end of Kawasaki, down into Bell helmets. The experienced campaigner in front at the moment. Paul Young. Oh, somebody going straight ahead.
That's Sam Davidson, Lance.
It is. He's managed to keep it upright, though. Looks like he's just outbroken himself, and he's decided not even to cut back onto the circuit proper. Here is a replay of it. Looks like he's got onto the gravel. He's been forced a little bit wide. He was unable to tip the bike in, decided that the safest option was to continue on straight ahead, and he's actually rejoined the race in turn number 3.
Well, that's typical frantic racing action in the Ninja 300s. Final lap now, 3.1 kilometres to go for our race leaders. Paul Young is now the race leader, but not by much. Robbie Menzies is right in the battle as well, and so is Ben White. This is going to be a fantastic battle for these top places on the podium. Pretty sure they're going to be the top 3. The big question is, Lance, what order?
Well, Paul Young did a fantastic job to use up all of the black stuff. Here comes Menzies on the outside, and look at Ben White up the inside. White outbreaks everybody and takes up the running. Menzies back in second place. Third place. Oh, Menzies is down. Lost the front end.
Well, we put the commentator's curse on him. He's not going to be in the top 3 as he tries to pick the 377, the Cube Racing machine up. That's a disappointing end. What had been a fantastic weekend for Robbie Menzies, but the battle is still on in earnest at the front. Paul Young slides down the inside on the entry into the first of the left-hand corners. They'll come out onto the Iphone straight. There's only one more corner to go. Look at the drive of Paul Young, Lance.
Yeah, he's pushed Ben White a little bit wide, and unfortunately he wasn't able to maintain the momentum that he needed. A good battle for third and fourth placing a little bit further behind with Tony Jones and Jack Dawes doing a good job. A little bit further behind them, Hunter Ford is the one that's in with a chance here. Here we go, out of the final turn, down the Swann Insurance Straight. It looks like Paul Young's going to take it out.
Poor old Ben White, he actually led into the entry of turn 6, and it looks like he's just been pipped on the line. A close battle there for third as well. Hunter Ford getting the nod over Tony Jones. Jack Dawes, Ryan Masri, Jason Martin, Mitch Cavney, Jimmy Broadbent and Shane Yoakum, the man from the Australian Capital Territory, rounds out the top 10.
I'm glad I managed to catch him early because I wanted to have a race, with these guys. Want to get up the front and ride with the fast guys, have a bit of a race, and we certainly had that.
So at the conclusion of round number 4 of the FX300 Ninja Cup, brought to you by Kawasaki Insurance, Paul Young leads only by 2 points over Jack Dawes. Tony Jones in third on 188. Don't go too far away. We invite you to join us for more support action here at Queensland Raceway as part and parcel of this 4th round of the Swann Insurance Australasian Superbike Championship in 2015.
Throughout the 2015 Australasian Superbike season, the Australian Motorcycle News Best Presented Bike Award has been a highly sought after prize for many competitors across all classes. For the 4th round of the championship, the judges had a tough choice deciding between Darren Wilbo's Rick Andrews Motorcycles Yamaha YZF R1 from Formula Extreme, Luke Mitchell's J&L Racing Yamaha from Supersports, and the collective team effort by the Northside Motorcycle Centre outfit from Kawasaki Ninja Cup. All bikes were immaculately presented, but it was hard not to ignore the effort Northside presented to the judges and were duly awarded the top prize by the magazine.
This is great, like all the hard work we put into making the bikes look the way they do. We sort of go out our way to make them look good every round, and all the hours in the shed painting and rubbing, and making them look shiny is really good, so yeah.
Mate, we maintain from day one, if we make them look good in the still photo, we're going to look fast. And look, really, really happy that congratulations to Pete. Pete's put a lot of the effort in. He's what I call our design technician, and I just can't say congratulations enough to him for the effort that he's put in.
Welcome back to Queensland Raceway. Our next race on the program is the Race Tech Formula Oz category. The run what you brung, thoroughbreds if you like. It really does test out the mechanical aptitude of the team and the rider.
And there are some really tasty motorcycles out here this weekend. The highly modified Honda CBR 1000 of our championship leader Paul Byrne, and the Racer's Edge Performance Ducati 1199 Superleggera making its debut this weekend. It's Paul Byrne that leads the championship though on 201.5 points from Simon Galloway, the multiple Pro Twin champion on 133. Looks like a bit of a jump start there as Brad Swallow eager to get off the line on board his Kawasaki ZX-10.
We're about ready to get underway with race number 2. We can see the highlights of race number 1. Somebody throwing a chain off the start there, as well as Brad Swallow doing more than getting a very good start.
I saw something happen to Mitch Painter as well, Lance. He put his hand up as they went down towards turn 1. That's disappointing because he started from the front row of the grid. But you can see there in the slow motion replay that someone has thrown a chain. Was it Mitch Painter that threw the chain?
It was indeed the 77 of Mitch Painter, the A1 Race Paint Kawasaki. He got a good start and then went backwards, and that was courtesy of that chain that threw off onto the start line. In the meantime, though, it was all guns a-blazing at the front of the pack. This is Paul Byrne on the LTR Honda, and he was doing it hard from, I guess you could say, a reasonable start. I wouldn't say it was poor, but it certainly wasn't up to the standard that Paul's used to.
Well, I think also too that the Ducati fired off the line incredibly well. Paul Byrne had to try and make his way through. Bo Beaton started incredibly well on board the 86, the Racer's Edge Ducati Panigale 1199. This is the Superleggera model, and it's very, very quick in a straight line, and they're really trying to develop it, running on Pirelli tyres this weekend, but they had to contend with Matt Harding, a man that dominated this class at this circuit last year.
Yeah, he's doing a great job as Matt Harding, the K&R Hydraulics Kawasaki ZX-10R, but it was all Paul Byrne. Once he got in front, all he needed was clean air, and that's what he got, all the way to the checkered flag to take victory, ahead of Matt Harding and Bo Beaton in third. So riders getting ready now, as we said, for race number 2. They were the highlights we just saw of race number 1. Will it be Paul Byrne to try and get that three-peat that he has done so many times this year? And that's why he has such a handy lead. Here's our pole sitter. Alongside of him will start Matt Harding, Bo Beaton and Ben Henry. On the second row, we've got Galloway, Ecott, Vitali and Fisher.
Yeah, unfortunately for Mitch Painter, he'll will have to try and get a better start than he did in the last race. Has to start from a little bit further back on the grid as well as we blast away from the line. Once again, the Ducati Panigale, the racer's edge, 11.99, very quick off the line. Looks like Ben Henry's also got a great start on board the Cube Racing machine. This is turning into a great weekend for the Cube Racing team, Lance.
Talking about Mitch Painter, we are on board with the A1 Race Paint Kawasaki there momentarily, and what you mentioned is certainly a valid point. The Cube Racing team have done a fantastic job. The number 18 of Ben Henry up there in the forefront of the race and the challenge in the early stages, but it was all Bo Beaton. It is all Bo Beaton on board that Panigale, doing a fantastic job ahead of the LTR Honda of our championship leader Paul Byrne.
Yeah, the Panigale is one of those bikes you need to really get up close and have a good look at it. So many tasty little features that you can't see, but it's going at very quick, rapid rate round this race, Queensland Raceway. As Mitch Painter, I was just momentarily balked there as he went up the inside very late on the brakes. Well, if Mitch Painter knows any circuit well, Lance, it is his home circuit here at Queensland Raceway. I know how hard he's been training in the gym to get his fitness up. He was looking forward for a big performance this weekend, and he'll be all pumped up after that disappointment in race number 1.
There's no doubt about the fact that this guy has put in the hard yards around the raceway. He's put in his personal best times, etc. But at the front of the pack, here comes Paul Byrne down the inside in the Swann Insurance Straight. Will he be able to get up the inside through DID Chains Corner? The answer is no momentarily, but he cuts a fine line, gets a drive down the inside into Race Tech suspension. Paul Byrne on the LTR Honda takes up the running of the race.
This is one of the most trick Honda CBR 1000s racing here. Actually, probably the most trick Honda CBR 1000 racing here this weekend. It's got the kit gearbox, Lance. It's got the Olin's forks, but Bo Beaton comes back. Well, speaking of Olin's forks, he's got them as well, and he's also got Steve Mudford from the suspension guru looking after the setup of that motorcycle. This is a great battle between these two at the front, and this is what we really look forward to in the Formula Oz class.
Yeah, Pete Ward's done a fantastic job on the LTR Honda, and in terms of the bike that's just taken up the running, well, momentarily switchback. Here we go, chop and swap. It's all over the place. 1 minute it's Honda, the next it's the Ducati. Behind them, 2 Kawasaki's going at it for 3rd and 4th.
Well, and the more they keep this up, the more that Ben Henry and Matt Harding are going to well and truly get back into the mix and could find themselves battling for the race lead. Well, not find themselves, they are now battling for the race lead. Ben Henry is back right onto the tail of the LTR Honda of Paul Young.
Both Bo Beaton and Paul Byrne there shaking their head in disbelief. Anything you can do, I'm going to try and do better. Hang on a second, didn't I just overtake you?
Well, I just called him Paul Young because I'm used to the action in the Ninja 300 from the race before. As we go on board now with Mitch Painter, I think he's trying to find his way past Brad Swallow. I think it's fair to say by the smile on Brad Swallow's face, he's really enjoying riding the big ZX10 this weekend in his debut in this class on board that motorcycle.
Painter up the inside, down the end of Dunlop. This is the longest straight on the circuit, down into the hardest braking area of the circuit as well. We'll have to catch up and see whether he was able to overtake him there. Yes, indeed he was. And that is the battle for 5th and 6th place.
Well, the fastest laps are coming out well and truly now, with Bo Beaton setting the fastest lap on race number 4. Then it was Paul Byrne. Then it was Ben Henry, all successively going across the line and setting the fastest lap of the race to date.
Well, Bo Beaton it is that leads at the moment. Out of the second of the left-handers known as Bell Helmets, down the iPone internal straight. Hard under brakes into the right-hander. Turn number 6 Honda corner. Paul Byrne being momentarily balked there. Has to take a wider line than what he's normally used to. He gets the cutback, gets the switch, gets the power of the Honda down on the run down the Swann Insurance Straight. It lines him up for an inside run on Bo Beaton, and yes, he does get him through DID Chains.
Well, it's good to see this motorcycle out here. You mentioned about Pete Ward and also Dave Thomas, how hard they've worked. They had to work exceptionally hard overnight because they had some problems with this bike yesterday when it threw a radiator hose. They thought that they may have put the engine, and there was some fear that the bike wouldn't be able to make its race appearance today. It looks to be going okay at the moment. Speaking of going okay, look at Ben Henry on board the Cube Racing machine. Ben Henry and Bo Beaton have been racing together in championships for quite some time. They know each other's riding style as well. And I can tell you what, neither of them want to be beaten by the other rider.
And Matt Harding there, he had nowhere to go except follow line of suit and just wait for an opportunity of a door to be opened up, but Bo Beaton closed that in no uncertain terms. So it is Ben Henry in second, Bo Beaton in third, then we got Matt Harding in fourth place, fifth place is Mitch Painter, and he's still under pressure from Brad Swallow.
Well, I'll tell you what, ever since Ben Henry made his debut in this class earlier on this year, he really has added a whole lot of spice and flavour to the Formula Oz category. The addition of Bo Beaton on board that Racer's Edge Panigale this weekend, and I can't wait for the rest of the season in Formula Oz lands. This is going to be a great race, a great final lap for the first of our Formula Oz races. Matt Harding as well on that that beautiful new paint job on board his K&R Hydraulic ZX10 as well and truly in the mix as well.
He certainly got out of shape in no uncertain terms out of turn number 6. Here comes a good battle for the minor placings. Jason Ecott and Simon Galloway doing it hard in the minor placing stakes. But at the moment, down the end of Dunlop Straight into turn number 4 for the last time, and you'll find that it is still Paul Byrne that's leading, Ben Henry in second, Bo Beaton. Out of the saddle again for Matt Harding.
Well, speaking about fastest laps, Paul Byrne actually did the fastest lap of the race so far on the previous lap, lap number 7. That's why he's got a handy lead at the moment as we go back through the pack. There's Ecott, there's Galloway. I think Jason Ivkovic in that battle as well. On board the Suzuki, there he is with the Fluor orange ducktail.
That's 7th, 8th, 9th and 10th placing. So intense is the battle in this great class, the Race Tech Formula Oz category. On the final lap, as we mentioned, and the checkered flag on display out of turn number 6, Paul Byrne, the likeable Irishman that's now an expat Irishman because he is a naturalised Australian. He takes the victory on the LTR Honda ahead of Ben Henry, Bo Beaton, Matt Harding, Mitch Painter in 5th, Brad Swallow, Jason Ecott, Simon Galloway, Andy Fisher and Jason Ivkovic rounds up the top 10.
It was a right good ding-dong there with Bo Beaton. He's riding that Ducati pretty hard, and it took me a couple of laps to kind of figure out where I could take a bit of advantage, and I had a couple of goes and he didn't shy away. He came back and stuffed it in the inside of me again, which is really good for racing, it's good for spectators and everything. But
well, riders out on the circuit now, Phil Harlan, for race 3, and of course we're looking forward to another 8-lap journey here in the Race Tech Formula Oz category. Unfortunately, on the warm-up lap, Brad Swallow on the tap-out Kawasaki, mechanical dramas, and had to come into the pits.
Yeah, he's had to check out, unfortunately, Lance, as they make their way round. There's Andy Fisher, been a great addition to the field this weekend on board his BMW bike number 24, but it is Paul Byrne that will start from pole position, joined on the front row by Ben Henry, Bo Beaton and Matt Harding, the protagonist from that excellent race number 2.
Mitch Painter, a great effort in race number 2 for him. Brad Swallow, unfortunately, will be a vacant position on that second row. So we're in the starters' hands now, on board with the Lockie Thomas Racing Honda-mounted Paul Byrne. Our pole sitter gets a good start, so too does Bo Beaton. Not a bad start there from Mitch Painter either on the second row of the grid, but it's all about that Panigale up the inside of the Honda, and he takes up the running again.
Well, we saw in the Supersport class a couple of, when it was on earlier on, that Rick Olsen couldn't get the start. Bo Beaton could probably give him a couple of tips because he has been lighting up the Panigale from the start, and he has been leading into turn 1 on every occasion so far today.
Matt Harding up there into third placing. Ben Henry not that far behind him as well. So too is Mitch Painter in the fray as they all head down the end of Dunlop Straight for the first time. It's Bo Beaton, Paul Byrne, Ben Henry, Matt Harding, Mitch Painter. They're the front 5 runners.
Well, Simon Galloway got in very deep into turn 3 on that occasion, and he'll now try and blast his Kawasaki back out onto that straight and make up some more positions. But the battle at the front is all about the Ducati V-twin 1199cc machine of Bo Beaton and the 1000cc screaming inline 4-cylinder of Paul Byrne, bike number 51, as they make their way through the 2 left-handers. Got to be a little bit careful through there on the first lap. Left-hand side of the tyre, not all that warm. Feet out action from Bo Beaton. He means business early.
Well, Craig McMartin been doing a great job in preparing that Ducati in the background. Oh, who's that off there?
Mitch Painter.
Oh, darn, into Honda corner, just getting it all wrong. Front end lose. Here we have a repeat of replay, I should say, of the start line, and you can see that everybody got away fairly well there, Phil, but it was the dominance of the Ducati up into turn number 1.
Yeah, that bottom end grunt certainly got it off the line well, but a good line through there as well. As we have a look at slow motion action now, you can see Mitch Painter just lose the front. Pretty hectic action in the start of any of the Formula Oz races this weekend, and unfortunately there wasn't enough synergy with Mitch Painter's machine and him this weekend, and he crashes out.
Paul Byrne in the meantime up the inside at the end of Dunlop Straight, down into turn number 3, forces the issue, pushes the Panigale wide. Bo Beaton, he backs off a little bit, tries to square the corner off. Paul Byrne runs it wide enough to balk him, but does he get the drive out of turn 3 and down Kawasaki? He does. A good effort there from Byrne.
I think that was a fair indication, Lance, of how hard they pushed each other down there into turn 3. Late on the brakes, in fact, probably a little bit too late because neither of them were anywhere near the apex. And as they make their way through the two left-handers now, Matt Harding has probably caught back a little bit of distance on them, and he's got right on the back of him Ben Henry on the Cube Racing Kawasaki for comfort. Oh, here comes Bo Beaton, made up a lot of distance on the brakes. Steve Mudford has obviously got the front end of that Ducati working extremely well.
Looking at the synergy of the riders in 3rd and 4th placing, I'm talking about Ben Henry and Matt Harding, the two Kawasaki riders. One gets a feeling that they're just sitting back waiting for their opportunity late in the race because they're letting these front two runners on the Honda and the Ducati just go for it.
Well, Paul Byrne's certainly going for it at the moment. Look at the speed of Matt Harding as he goes around the outside of Bo Beaton.
You don't do that!
If I didn't see it with my own two eyes, I wouldn't believe that just happened.
Brad Swallow in the meantime is about to be swallowed up by our race leader. Here's a replay of Matt Harding. What a great piece of riding.
Well, I know Al Samuels has been working hard on the setup of that motorcycle of Matt Harding's as well. Whatever you're doing, Al, keep it up because it seems to be working.
Well, Matt Harding now pushing the issue up the inside of Paul Byrne at the end of Dunlop. Byrne goes narrow, Harding wide. Now Harding tries to go back to the inside of the right-hander. It puts him on the outside in the left-hander here, but not for long. He outbrakes him. Kawasaki up the inside of Honda. Honda trying again hard. Paul Byrne chasing. Matt Harding in 1st place.
Well, Matt Harding, this is an unbelievable ride from him. He's come from a fair way back in 3rd place. As you said, looked like he was just biding his time. Well, he's done enough biding at the moment. He's now taking the race lead up. He leads from Paul Byrne and Bo Beaton. So it's Harding, Paul Byrne, Bo Beaton, and then Ben Henry just dropping off the back a fraction.
On board the Lockie Thomas Racing Honda of Paul Byrne as they head down the Swann Insurance Main Straight and line up turn number 1. The battle in turn number 6. 4 wide as they go through there. Jason Ecott and a number of others. Jason Ivkovic doing a good job as well. The 24 is in there, Andy Fisher, and so too is the number 17 of Damien Sutton.
Yeah, the man from northern New South Wales, Andy Fisher there, certainly making a massive impact on the field this weekend. And this is a really good battle. Damien Sutton, one of the most experienced campaigners, also out there in this class, been around for a long time. The veritable veteran from Western Sydney. He's at the moment in a pretty good battle there with Jason Ecott, both Kawasaki mounted. But it's Jason Ivkovic on 42 that leads them a merry chase, and Andy Fisher's just started to pull away.
This is the battle for 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th respectively. Yellow flag on display. We've got a rider down on the outside of turn 3. Couldn't quite pick up who that was. We'll try and find out a little bit later on for you. It may well have been the number 3 of Matt Harding. He's missing from the front of the pack.
Yep, he's
yes,
certainly
indeed
gone
it
down
is.
as he pushes the number 3 machine away. Disappointment for our race leader. On board now with Paul Byrne. We can see just loses the front. You can see the big black line left from the front wheel there as he crashed out at turn 3. Disappointment for the man from Cessnock.
And back to this 5, 6, 7 and 8 position replay. Look at that under slow motion. You can see everybody trying to use up every part of the black stuff.
Oh, Bo Beaton screams past Paul Byrne on the run down the Ippone Straight and goes into the race lead with Ben Henry now back into it, make it a 3-way battle.
Ben Henry has made up a mile of ground to get up onto the rear of the Lockie Thomas Racing Honda, and Paul Byrne just momentarily lifts his left hand up there, signals to the pit board, and that allows Ben Henry to get up into 2nd place.
I wouldn't be surprised, Lance, if there's been a resurgence of the problems that they had on that machine yesterday, and Paul Byrne is just going to have to try and get it round this last 3.1 kilometre lap of Queensland Raceway. Much better to take 3rd place points than what it is to try and do anything silly, crash out or not finish this race. So a good, smart strategy there from Paul Byrne with obvious bike problems at the moment.
Mechanical gremlins coming to the fore on the final lap for our championship leader, but that opens up the opportunity for these two key protagonists in the previous 2 races to be able to get up there and mix it at the front of the pack. We're talking about Bo Beaton down the end of Kawasaki into Bell Helmets. He's being hotly pursued by a hard-charging, hard-finishing Ben Henry on board machine number 18, the Cube Racing Kawasaki.
Yeah, both of these bikes Pirelli shod too now as they come down the final Ippone Straight. The Racer's Edge Panigale and the Cube Racing Kawasaki of Ben Henry but it looks like Bo Beaton may just have enough of a gap. He'll square the corner off and he'll fire the big 1200cc V-twin Superleggera to the line. Look at him head underneath the paintwork, and across the line goes Bo Beaton to take his first victory in this Sunday program for the Formula Oz class.
And he's pretty pumped up about it as well. Ben Henry in second place, limping home in third as Paul Byrne, Simon Galloway in fourth, and Andy Fisher rounding up the top 5 on the BMW.
Yeah, look, the team's worked so hard today, and to get them a win in Formula Oz on the Ducati against the Japanese manufacturers is great for Pirelli, Racer's Edge, raced dynamics doing the suspension. We're always working hard towards find a better setting, and North Coast V-Twins Racing, I just can't thank them all enough. Craig McMartin for getting me on the grid. It's his bike and he builds a beautiful engine, and the thing proves itself against them big 4 cylinders.
Well, with Paul Byrne finishing in third place, he still maintains a very handy lead in the Racetech Formula Oz Championship, 271.5 ahead of Ben Henry, Simon Galloway and Mitch Painter rounding up the top 4. Don't go too far away, folks, because on the other side of this we have the combined category of the Australian Motorcycle News Pro Twins Naked Bikes and Formula Extreme C&D grade to thrill you.
For anyone that returns to a sport such as motor racing after an extended period of inactivity, the expectation to return to competitive form is highly unrealistic. For Brendan McIntyre, the prospect of potentially re-entering the Australasian Superbike Championship after a 10-year absence was something he was reluctant to do. That all changed when the Formula Extreme C&D grade was established at the start of 2015.
It's allowed me the opportunity to come back in to the series after a 10-year break and not jump straight back into the main Superbike class. The guys in the main class, they've been running since I left in 2004. To jump back in there, there's just no way you could do it straight away. So this class has been really good for that.
Since the formation of Formula Extreme C&D grade, McIntyre has been enjoying the level of competition that's around him, and that has helped both himself and his rivals develop their on-track form.
There's a few guys there. Jason Martin's one of them that's keeping me on my toes, and it's good to have someone nice and clean that has also got the same goals to just try and improve the times and try and lift our game up to where the main Superbike class is. I know we've got the same goals there, so in a way we're working together on that. And then at some of the different local tracks, there's a few guys that come out of the woodwork and up the pace a little bit as well, so it's been good.
Well, thanks for sticking around, folks. This is Queensland Raceway. It is round 4 of the Swann Insurance Australasian Superbike Championship. And right now we're looking forward to the combined category of the Pro Twins Naked Bikes Formula Extreme C&D grade, brought to you by our good friends at the Australian Motorcycle News. And in terms of points, let's have a look at what happens in the Pro Twins in terms of the Formula 1. James Arnold is leading with Darren Jones in Formula 2. Naked Bikes, we have Adrian Pierpoint, Ian Goodwin and Stephen Cooper leading their respective categories. But in terms of the overall championship combined, Angus Reekie it is that has a 19-point lead over the rest of the field. Formula Extreme C&D grade, Brendan McIntyre leads by 30-odd points ahead of the rest of the field. We have 3 races. Right now we're going to show you the highlights of races 1 and 2. And it was all Brendan McIntyre that did a fantastic job in the early stages on board the Western Motorcycle Suzuki GSXR, but Bo Beaton on the race's edge. The bike didn't take too long to be able to get the upper hand and get into a really handy lead.
Yeah, the Vincent 1600cc machine is firing well on all 2 cylinders. Look at him now as he streaks away from the rest of the field. But Darren Wilbo on board this number 14 brand new Yamaha YZF R1 model is going really great guns ever since he got on board that motorcycle, and he's been a real force to be reckoned with this weekend. Well,
Brendan McIntyre kept everybody honest, including Jason Martin, Dane Purcell and Lucas Vitale. They were the key protagonists at the front of the field, along with Darren Wilbo. Of course, the Bo Beaton machine miles in front in the early stages.
Yeah, Lucas Vitale on board the Central Coast Performance machine is on fire at the moment, making his way through the pack. Look at the drive he gets out of turn 3, and unfortunately there is the Vincent of Bo Beaton. It has succumbed to some sort of mechanical issue and unfortunately making its way back to the pits far too early in this race.
Cut across the infield, through into the final turn and into the pits to get out of harm's way.
Lucas Vitale just got it all wrong into the final corner, Lance.
He did, and unfortunately for him, that meant Darren Wilbo took the victory ahead of Lucas Vitale, Dane Purcell in third place. So on to race number 2, another 8-lap journey, and without Bo Beaton at the start of this one, we thought, but then he came back in earnest, didn't he? A fantastic job for him. So let's have a look at the highlights of race number 2. You can see that, a bit of a jump start there. Eagerly getting away was Lucas Vitale.
And you can see him nod his head there. He knew he'd jump the start as they make their way down into turn 1. No surprise to see Brendan McIntyre on 22 make his way through there on the first time. But Bo Beaton from the back of the grid on board the Racer's Edge Panigale, which is eligible to run in the V-Twin category, the Pro Twins category, has got a great start, and he's up there extremely early in this race as well.
So too is Dane Purcell, forcing the issue on Brendan McIntyre. Darren Wilbo up there, but as you can see in the background, the number 86 of Bo Beaton, the Racer's Edge Performance, Craig McMartin Racing Ducati, doing a great job.
Yeah, he has just literally just left these guys to have a C&D grade battle of all of their own, as Darren Wilbo and Purcell on board number 15 have a good battle. But there it is, Bo Beaton celebrates with a stand-up wheelie on board the Racer's Edge Performance machine. A great victory by over 4 seconds to Darren Wilbo and Dane Purcell on the podium in third.
So on to race number 3. As we've mentioned, each of these 3 events are 8 laps in duration. Bo Beaton succumbing to mechanical dramas in race number 1. He was victorious in race number 2, and he certainly got it all to do in race number 3. Here we go with the starting grid. Bo Beaton, Darren Wilbo, Dane Purcell and Brendan McIntyre on the front row.
Yeah, Dane Purcell's having a fantastic ride here, the local man on board bike number 15. Hopefully we'll see him at more rounds at the remainder of this season. But we're getting ready for a start now. Look at the start from the second row of the grid. Oh, Jason Martin's managed to keep the front wheel somewhere near the ground on board bike number 61, Lance. That's the first time that's happened this year.
Well, Brendan McIntyre on the Western Motorcycles Sydney Suzuki got a great start, but ended up being overtaken on the outside by the Racer's Edge Performance, Craig McMartin Racing, KH Equipment, Ducati Panigale.
Yeah, I think that's the first time this year that McIntyre hasn't actually led this class into the first corner at any of the circuits that we've been at. Darren Wilbo is glued to his ducktail on board bike number 14 at the moment. Jason Martin on board the Cube Racing Kawasaki has been having a pretty good weekend here at his home circuit as well. There goes Lucas Vitale, who that jump start in the second race just seemed to get him in the complete wrong headspace. He was nowhere in the second race, but he's obviously bounced back strong in this race number 3, Lance. Great start from the boy on the Central Coast Performance machine.
Dane Purcell doing a good job on the Ballona Motorcycles Kawasaki as well to be up at the forefront. There you can see the number 22 of Brendan McIntyre leads that pack in second, third, fourth and fifth placing.
Adrian Pierpoint also putting in a pretty good ride on board his Aprilia Tuono. You can see him there at the back of this lead pack, having a big look up the inside of Jason Martin, the veteran builder from Queensland. Adrian Pierpoint doing double duty. He's been riding in the Ninja 300s as well this weekend. Bit of a difference, the fire-breathing V4 Aprilia and also the the parallel twin 300 Kawasaki.
Doing a great job, Vitale there on the 88 as well, up the inside momentarily of Dane Purcell. Purcell gets the upper hand. We're on board with him at the moment. Looking in front of him, I should say, you'll find is Lucas Vitale and the number 22 of Brendan McIntyre.
Well, Brendan McIntyre's got the brand new paint job on this weekend on the Western Motorcycles machine. It looks an absolute treat, and he's been riding an absolute treat as well. Here we go down to the end of the long Dunlop straight. Wilbauer goes up the inside, gets it wrong. McIntyre comes back on the inside. So does Purcell on bike number 15. Being a local man, Dane Purcell knows every trick in the book when it comes to Queensland Raceway.
Well, you can say that Darren Wilbo is certainly a man on a mission. He's got his family here supporting him this weekend. He slots up the inside of McIntyre. Oh. Somebody going off down there. Is that Adrian Pierpoint? I think it is, the local Queenslander. Oh, not a good way to finish a race meeting at your home track.
Well, he also needs to get points this weekend because without Angus Reiki here with troubles on board the KTM, Adrian Pierpoint can get a lot of points back, so he needs to get the bike going again as we see a replay of the start. And for the first time that I can remember, McIntyre didn't lead them through the first corner. That was the honour of Bo Beaton on board the Racer's Edge Panigale.
Some great slow-mo shots here showing all of the angles, looking at the riders, looking way past the apex of the corner as you should do. Here's a replay now of Adrian Pierpoint just losing the front end of that beautiful Tuono. Well, it's not so beautiful now. It's going to be battle-scarred. It'll take him a little bit of preparation position to get that ready for the next round. Oh!
Lucas Vitali, there was no room to go on the outside there, Lance, but I don't know how. He found some room and managed to get the Central Coast Performance Motorcycles GSX-R 1000 through there somehow.
I think you'll find Purcell got up the inside of McIntyre as well. He lost 2 places in one sneeze.
He was probably thinking, how did you get past there? And Purcell made great use of the momentary lapse of concentration of McIntyre to get up the inside. Another great ride from Lucas Vitali, who had a great ride in race number 1, jumped the start in race 2, just didn't seem to be in the right headspaces, come back very strong now in race number 3. This could be his best race of the weekend.
Darren Wilbo leading this bunch, but it's all about that man. Number 86, Bo Beaton, the Racer's Edge Ducati Panigale. Second place, Darren Wilbo as he comes across the strike, and hotly being pursued by Lucas Vitali on the Central Coast Performance's Suzuki GSX-R.
Well, he was probably given a stern talking to after race 2 by Big Rob Hallcroft. And I tell you what, you've seen Big Rob Hallcroft, you're not going to argue with him, are you, Lance?
Certainly not, but he certainly doesn't tolerate fools, does Rob, and no fool is on board that bike doing a good job as Lucas Vitali.
As they blast their way down the back straight. Look at the speed of the Central Coast Performance machine, but look how composed it is when he manages to get it back under control on the brakes. He was late on the brakes, went up the inside of Darren Wilbow. Purcell, once again, a great ride from the local man on board bike number 15. And on board now with the local man as we go down through the end of the Dunlop Straight. You can see how late they are on the brakes. They might be C&D graders, Lance, but they're lapping at incredibly fast lap times. 1 minute 12s pretty consistently from these guys all race.
Darren Wilbo now under pressure from Dane Purcell on the Ballina Motorcycles Kawasaki as they head out of turn number 3. Race Tech suspension down the long straight and Dunlop into turn 3. Up the inside goes Purcell, relegates Wilbo back to 4th.
Well, this is the furthest that Darren Wilbo's been back on that machine since he made its debut at the last round at Sydney Motorsport Park. Making his way down the Kawasaki straight now. It is the Kawasaki that leads the Yamaha in this battle for 3rd and 4th place. Last chance to get up onto the podium in the outright positions, but they're also in their own subclass for the C&D grade riders, because Bo Beaton is not only in a class of his own in this race, he's also the only one in the V-Twins category that's been able to dominate these C&D grade riders on their screaming 4-cylinder machines.
He has the length of the iPhone straight lead over the rest of the field. That equates to about half of the Swann Insurance main straight. Second place and maintaining good momentum is Lucas Vitali on the Central Coast Performance's Suzuki GSX-R. In third place at the moment is Dane Purcell on the Ballina Motorcycles Kawasaki, and then Yamaha mounted Darren Wilbo in 4th place.
Well, as we saw Bo Beaton go through the first corner there, I know how hard the team's been working today because they've got to change over from the Pirelli tyres on that bike that they're running in the Formula Oz class back to the Dunlop control tyre for this V-twin class as well. So the team's been working very hard, and I'll tell you what, this victory for Bo Beaton is going to be a great reward for the team at the end of the day.
On the final lap now, turning it into one of 2 left-hand corners on this 6-corner layout, 3.12 kilometres in length. It is affectionately known as the Paperclip. It is Queensland Raceway at Ipswich, and it is all about Bo Beaton at the moment. Down the end of Iphone, into Honda for the last time. He'll take his 2nd victory in this, the Australian Motorcycle News Pro Twins Naked Bikes and Formula Extreme C&D grade class.
As expected, a great wheelie there from the Racer's Edge Performance North Coast V-Twins rider. Lucas Vitali, great ride. You can see he's pumped up with that Central Coast Performance Motorcycles in 2nd position, and Dane Purcell, the local rider, Lance, takes out 3rd on bike number 15. A great ride.
Darren Wilbo in 4th, Brendan McIntyre 5th, and rounding up the top 6 is Jason Martin.
Yeah, the Racer's Edge Performance North Coast V-Twins Panigale was working beautiful. It's a pleasure to ride, and Steve Mudford from Race Dynamics doing a fantastic job dialing in the bike and just getting better and better every time we go out, and just making me more comfortable to go quicker.
What happened to the Vincent?
Oh, look, we got a little bit of a mechanical issue. Until it gets back to the workshop, we won't know totally, but it went back to 1 cylinder, so it could be a lot of things, yeah.
Championship points in the Pro Twins. F1, Chris Keane. F2 is Darren Jones. Heading over the page to the Naked Bikes, Adrian Pierpoint, Ian Goodwin and Stephen Cooper in F1, 2 and 3 respectively. The combined championship point sees Chris Keane on 183, only 2 points ahead of their nearest rivals. Brendan McIntyre, Jason Martin and Michael Witchard are your front 3 runners in the C&D grade category of the Formula Extreme class. Well, folks, thanks for your company here at Queensland Raceway. We look forward to, again, the same sort of action, maybe even better, when we head south to the Merino District at Wakefield Park near Goulburn in about a month's time.